Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're getting into something, well, pretty universal, stress. You brought some really fascinating material from a podcast, right? About how our bodies react and maybe more importantly, what we can do about it.
That's right. Yeah, the material digs into the physiology. Stress isn't just mental fog. It's a physical thing happening in your nervous system.
Right, it's tangible. I was really drawn to the idea that we're not just passengers with these physical reactions.
Exactly. And our mission today is basically to pull out the actionable stuff from this podcast source. How can you actually influence your nervous system to find a bit more calm? We're talking about understanding that survival mode and figuring out how to hit the chill mode button.
Okay, let's start with that survival mode, the panic button. The source calls it fight or flight. It's more than just feeling, frazzled, isn't it? There are actual physical symptoms.
Oh, absolutely. Your sympathetic nervous system goes on high alert. Heart pounds, breathing gets shallow, muscles tense up,
Hmm.
like your shoulders you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, definitely my shoulders. So that ancient alarm system designed for, I don't know, actual tigers
Mm-hmm.
gets triggered by emails now.
Pretty much. Or deadlines, traffic, you name it. Chronic modern stress activates the same old wiring. It's a full body response.
So recognizing that knot in your stomach or that racing heart, that's the first step. Seeing it as this automatic physical thing.
Precisely. Awareness is key. Knowing it's physiological, not just like a mood,
Mm.
because then you can think about the counter system. The podcast calls it the chill mode.
Right, the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's brake pedal.
Good analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the brake. So the big question is, how do we consciously press that brake?
And the source material had answers.
It did. A really big one, surprisingly simple, is your breath. It's highlighted as a super direct line to your nervous system.
The breath, yeah, it almost sounds too simple, doesn't it? But the podcast made it seem like it's a direct signal to the brain saying, hey, we're safe.
Exactly. It's about the physiological connection, particularly with the vagus nerve. This nerve is like a major highway connecting your brain to, well, lots of important stuff, heart, gut.
Okay.
And slow, deep breathing, especially a longer exhale, stimulates that nerve. When you breathe diaphragmatically, belly breathing.
Right, not just shallow chest breath.
Yeah. You're basically sending a biological message, relax, all clear. And that triggers a calming effect. Slower heart rate, muscles easing up.
The podcast mentioned a specific pattern, didn't it? Inhale for 4, exhale for 6.
It did. And that longer exhale is really the kicker.
Why longer on the way out?
That specifically boosts the parasympathetic activity, the rest and digest state. It helps modulate heart rate variability, which is basically a marker for how resilient your system is to stress. So longer exhale equals more chill mode activation. Simple, but effective.
Wow, okay, so breath is huge. But the podcast mentioned other things too, briefly, like movement, grounding.
It touched on them, yeah. Didn't go super deep in this particular material, but they're valid tools. Gentle movement, like stretching or a walk, can help dissipate that physical tension, kind of shakes off the stress energy.
Makes sense. And grounding.
That's about connecting to the present through your senses. Feeling your feet on the floor, the texture of something. It pulls you out of the mental spiral and back into the physical moment.
Anchoring
Yourself.
Okay, okay. But the one that really jumped out at me, maybe because it was unusual, was humming. Seriously. Humming.
Yeah. Felt a bit odd, right? Oh, but there's science there. The vibrations from humming directly stimulate that vagus nerve we keep mentioning. Remember the highway?
Yeah, the brain-body connection.
Exactly. The vagus nerve runs right near your vocal cords. So humming, or even singing or chanting, creates vibrations that gently nudge the vagus nerve, telling it to activate the calming parasympathetic response.
Huh. So humming a tune isn't just like a distraction, it's physically doing something.
It can be, yes. It's another tool in the toolbox, maybe an unexpected one.
And the podcast stressed that you don't need like an hour-long meditation session for this stuff, right?
Right.
Little breaks are key.
Totally. That idea of mindful breaks.
Yeah.
Super important. Even just 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Take a few deep breaths like we talked about. Do a quick stretch. Hum for a moment.
Little resets.
Exactly. Interrupt the stress cycle. Insert tiny doses of calm. It adds up over the day, like microdosing tranquility, you could say.
Microdosing tranquility. I like that. So the main takeaway seems to be, while that stress response is automatic, we can intentionally trigger the calm response using breath, using humming, even these tiny breaks.
That's the empowering message, really. You have agency. You're not just reacting. By understanding this and practicing these fairly simple techniques, you can actively guide your system towards better balance.
Okay, so recapping the big points from the source. Breath is powerful, slow in, slower out. Don't discount humming. It vibrates the vagus nerve. And tiny mindful breaks throughout the day can make a real difference in managing that stress
You
response.
got it. It's about building those small habits of intentional calm.
It really makes you think, though. Our bodies jump into stress mode so fast, almost without us noticing. What if we put even, I don't know, a fraction of that energy into consciously choosing calm moments? What would that actually do for our overall well-being and resilience, like long term?
That's a great question to sit with. What could that cumulative effect be? Definitely food for thought.